All right, all right, all right. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. Go ahead, hit that like button as soon as you join the stream, y'all. We're going to be starting the stream in just a few minutes. Get up in here. Hit that like button as soon as you join the stream. We're going to be starting the stream in just a few seconds. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's doing good on this Thursday. This is another episode of Talking Barz. Hope everybody's good. Hit that like button down below if you're joining the stream right now. We're going to start the show in just a second, y'all. Hope everybody's doing good, man. Brand new year, 2024. We in the house. Hope everybody is healthy. Hope everybody's doing fine. Let's get into it, man. Let's start the stream right now. How's everybody doing? Happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of Talking Barz. Hope everybody made it safely to the new year. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you started those goals, man. Start those goals up. Get to it. Start the new year in a positive manner. We're going to have a great conversation today. Let me see who's up in here, man. Triborough Gigolos in the house. Try, what's up, man? Happy New Year, Try. Thanks for always coming through. Try, you gotta drop me the YouTube, man. Your YouTube channel that you're pushing, man. Drop it to me. Let me join that. I think I already got it on one of my other files. I think I've already subscribed to it. But drop it in the comment section down below, Try. Let me support that, all right? Shout out to Triborough Gigolo, man. One of the best hip-hop heads out here in New York City. I see Blocker is in the building. Blocker, thanks for coming through. Happy New Year. Tammy the Leo. Tammy's in the building. Shout out to Tammy. Go follow Tammy on Instagram. Go follow Full Blast Radio, Tammy's show. She's doing big things. Good luck to the new year for you, Tammy. Thanks for coming through. I see Jason's in the building. Take Flight Society's in the building. Jason just got asked to drop some joints. They're asking for a new song. We're going to be hearing some new Jason coming soon. All right, Jason. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to Red McFly. Shout out to the Take Flight Society, man. Jason, I can't wait to hear that joint that you got coming up for your team. All right? I know you're going to drop some heat on them, man. Hope everybody's good, man. Let's get into this one, man. So, I need y'all to drop your comments. I need y'all to comment in the comment section. I really want to hear from y'all on this one right here. So, I know we always talk about hip hop, right? And how hip hop started. Everybody knows hip hop started in New York City. Say it started in the Bronx, whatever. Y'all know how we always talk about the East Coast hip hop. In the late 90s and the late 80s and the early 90s, East Coast hip hop was, I would say, at its peak. All right, so we always talking about the East Coast on top, East Coast on top, East Coast is where it's at. But we'll all be doing a disservice if we don't mention the West. All right, yes, there's Northeast, yes, there's the South, all those other, but we be doing a big disservice if we don't mention the West Coast. All right. Here on the East Coast, there's a lot of East Coast artists that we all love. But over on the West Coast, man, they got some guys over there, man. Rest in peace to Tupac Shakur, man. Rest in peace, guys like Eazy-E. All right, there's guys like there's a lot of MCs that's on the West that we really don't talk about that like we should. And there's a lot of amazing albums on the West that we don't talk about that we should. Okay, so today is actually the anniversary. I think it's the 19 year. This is the 19th year anniversary of the documentary album. So I wanted to ask you guys today. First of all, I need you to drop your top 5 West Coast albums in the chat. Drop your top 5 West Coast albums in the chat. Because today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite West Coast albums. But the real question I want to ask you guys, let me change this right here. The real question I want to ask you guys is the documentary from The Game a top 5 West Coast rap album? And I know, some of y'all might jump out the window early. No, some of y'all might jump out the window early. Yes, it is. Let's talk about it today. Let me hear who y'all got. Well, my top 5 West Coast albums, they change here and there. Look, if it's up to me, Tupac would have at least 3 albums in my top 5 West Coast albums. All right, but let's talk about some West Coast albums. Drop some of your favorite West Coast albums in the chat. Drop your top 5 West Coast albums in the chat. Today, we're going to be talking about, is The Game, the documentary album, a top 5 West Coast album? One of my favorite albums from the West Coast, The Dog Pound. Listen, man, when I heard The Dog Pound on The Chronic, cool. They were cool. It was cool. But when Snoop Dogg dropped Doggy Style, and first of all, when Doggy Style dropped, it opened up with the Lady of Rage. It didn't even open up with Snoop. It opened up with the Lady of Rage dropping bars. All right, so shout out to the Lady of Rage. All right, number 1. But that album introduced me really to Daz and Corrupt. And y'all know, man, Daz and Corrupt. I love Daz and Corrupt. Listen. Corrupt is a lyrical beast. All right, so again, this is one of my favorite albums from the West, The Dog Pound. Shout out to Snoop Doggy Dogg for really, yes, I heard them on The Chronic, but that Doggy Style album, I really had to pay attention to them, man. So, Exhibit, At the Speed of Life, another hard West Coast album. Let me hear what y'all saying in the chat. Let me see what the chat's talking about. Thank everybody for coming through. Tammy says, The Chronic, that's the only one I know. Wow. Nah, Tammy, nah. No, Tammy, you gotta have other hip hop albums in your West Coast albums in there. Only The Chronic. I know you heard some Tupac albums, Tammy. So Tammy says, The Chronic, that's the only one I know. Jason said, what up, Playboy? Jason's in the building. Take Flight Society's in the building, man. Jason got a new track coming soon. Y'all look out for that. Let me see what else is going on in the chat. I see Blocker. Blocker says, you want me to comment my top 5 West Coast albums? Yes, drop your top 5 West Coast albums, Blocker. Let me see what you got. Try has a comment. Triborough Gigolo says, my top 5. Dr. Dre, The Chronic. Hold up. Let me put that up there. I got it on deck. One of the crown jewels of the West, man. The Chronic album. I remember when I first bought that album and I went home and I listened to that album, man, I was like, what is going on, yo? Like that album just had, it was like telling you a story. The skits were crazy. The production was crazy. Look, let me go back to Try's comment. Try says, my top 5, Dr. Dre, The Chronic. Number 2, Snoop Doggy Dogg, Doggy Style. I love the Doggy Style album, man. I love the Doggy Style album. That was one of the first West Coast albums that I really paid attention to. The production was tight. The bars was tight. It had fun on the album. It was a story being told. Doggy Style, one of my favorite West Coast albums of all time. 3, Ice Cube, The Predator. Whew, tough. You can't talk about the West Coast without talking about Ice Cube. The Predator. Number 4, The Dog Pound, Dog Food. Just talked about that album. And number 5, Tupac, Me Against the World. So that's a good list there, Try. And that's a question that has to come up. and this is something that I struggle with as well too. When I talk about my favorite West Coast albums, Tupac to me has at least like 3 classics. All Eyes on Me is maybe my favorite Tupac album because it's the first double CD rap album. He got bangers on there like crazy. There's a few duds on there, but all in all, classic double CD. Me Against the World, amazing CD, top to bottom. I think Me Against the World has the most classic tracks on any Tupac album. So Me Against the World, I might put that in my top 5 as well. And when you're talking about classic albums top to bottom, that Machiavelli album, listen, man, I could bump that Machiavelli from top to bottom, yo. Top to bottom, back to front, middle to, it just, and don't skip a track. So if I was to be biased, I might have 3 Tupac albums on my list. Once again, this is Triboro's list. Triboro has Dr. Dre, The Chronic, Snoop Doggy Dogg's Doggy Style, Ice Cube, The Predator, The Dog Pound, Dog Food, number 5, Tupac, Me Against the World. That's a ill list. All right, today I'm asking you, man. I'm asking y'all today, drop your top 5 rap albums from the West. Is the documentary a top 5 West Coast rap album? I want to go to our chat. The chat has been dropping some chats in our community page. If you haven't visited our community page, don't forget to always go to our page. We throw up community stuff all the time, questions, all that stuff. So maybe make sure and go to it. We got a few people commenting. We have a comment from SD2649. He says, brought the West back. A lot of people say that. A lot of people say that the Games album reinvigorated the West Coast and West Coast rap. A lot of people felt like in the early 2000s, the South was bubbling like crazy. East Coast Jay was still doing it on the East Coast. A lot of people say that the West Coast was really like dying out in that time. And when the Game dropped that album, listen, and then remember, Game was running with G-Unit at that time too. So G-Unit was bubbling like crazy. So good comment, brought the West back. Fire Ice Talon has a comment. Fire Ice Talon said, classic, yes. Top 5? Absolutely not. So this person disagrees. He does not think that album is a top 5 album. We got another comment from Easy Drick. Easy Drick says, hell to the no. That demanding. All right. And then we got another comment from Ardeen.535 says, nah, not top 5. So there are people out there. Some think they brought the West, he brought the West back. Some say it's not a top 5 album. So far, Tammy says she's only listened to maybe one West Coast album. Try has an amazing top 5. Let me see what else is going on. Try says many West Coast classic that needs recognition. That is true, Try. We're going to talk about a few of them today. This is another album that should come up. This album right here should come up in your conversations when you talk about West Coast albums. Soul on Ice from Ras Kass. Listen, if you're new to the channel, if you're just watching this, you don't know who Ras Kass is, please go to your favorite streaming site, Tidal, to Apple Music, Pandora, wherever. Go to your favorite streaming site, download this album, buy the album, whatever. Put it in your favorite. Listen to this album, Soul on Ice from Ras Kass. Ras Kass is a lyrical beast. Okay? Let me see what else I got going on up in here. Up in there. Triborough says, the documentary is definitely 5 mic album. It's in my top 10. So Try has it in his top 10. And Try says that this is a top 5. I'm sorry. A 5 mic album. I can agree with that. That album is tough, top to bottom. Try said Dog Food is my sissy. Triborough says Exhibit easily got 3 albums that are West Coast classic. Don't sleep on Exhibit, y'all. All right. Try says, come on, Tammy. You got to start listening to the West Coast classics. Tammy, you have to know more than one West Coast album. I know you heard some Tupac stuff. All right, go take a listen to the Razzcast, Tammy. If you haven't listened to Razzcast, he's very lyrical. Go listen to Exhibit. I have an album for you to listen to, Tammy. Hold up. Let me put this up here. I'm going to come back to that comment. Give me a second. I'm going to put something up here for Tammy to listen to. This is one of my favorite West Coast albums right here, Soul on Ice. Tammy, if you're still in the chat, if you're here right now, download this album, put it in your favorite, save it, listen to this album right here. This is an amazing West Coast album, one of my favorites. I think their rapping style is more like late 80s, early 90s rapping style, but listen to the album. Amazing album. So Triborough says, come on, Tammy, you got to start listening to West Coast classics. I agree. Triborough has another comment. Triborough says, Machiavelli, Strictly for My Jiggers are definitely worthy. Machiavelli is in my top 3 Pac albums. All right. It might go Me Against the World. Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me, Machiavelli. Listen, Machiavelli is in my top 3 Pac albums, man. I gotta put it out there. All right. Blocker has a comment. Blocker says, my top 5 West Coast albums. Strictly, Ice Cube, though, or all Ice Cube, okay. The Predator 2, War and Peace, Volume 2, the Peace Disc, Lethal Injection. Lethal Injection is tough. Go listen to that. Death Certificate, and America's Most Wanted. Look, listen, I can't be mad at that, man. I can't be mad at that top 5. Ice Cube definitely got some bangers. All right, so that was Blocker's top 5 West Coast album, all Ice Cube. That's all right. All right, Blocker. We got a comment from Charlie. Charlie says, how do you feel about the Far Side and the Alcoholics? Far Side, I love the Far Side. I also like the Alcoholics. I actually got introduced to the Alcoholics from the Wu-Tang Clan. When the Wu-Tang Clan was like, when they were like slowing down a little bit, I remember the Wu-Tang Clan, somebody from the Wu-Tang Clan, they did a joint album with the Alcoholics, or they did a few songs with the Alcoholics. And that's how I first started knowing about the Alcoholics. So Alcoholics is tough, man. Go listen to them. Far Side. Yes, I love the Far Side. Charlie, thank you for that comment. Jason has a comment, man. Jason says, 16, thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm back in the booth. Let's go. The team got a lot of upcoming projects dropping and shows coming up. Check out Red McFly, My Life is Crazy for Real documentary on his YouTube channel. So y'all, if y'all got YouTube, which you're on YouTube right now, all right, this is going to be on TikTok as well. But go to YouTube, go check out Red McFly, like Jason says. The name of the documentary is My Life is Crazy for Real. It's on YouTube. So go check out that documentary from Red McFly. Check out Jason's page on his Facebook and on his Instagram. Jason got some new music he's going to be dropping soon. I'm ready to listen to that. Jason, drop that. All right. Charlie has another comment. Charlie says, documentary isn't a top 5 West Coast album. That's like saying Get Rich or Die Trying is a top 5 East Coast album. So, Charlie, I agree. Get Rich or Die Trying, even though I think that album is classic status, I think 50 Cent did an amazing job with that album. When you start picking out East Coast albums for a top 5, that album doesn't even register in my top 50. Right? I love Get Rich or Die Trying. What that album did for the city, did here for New York. We're in Queens. We're in Jamaica, Queens. So we had the buzz here. All right, we felt it here. But when you start talking about top 5, top 10s, I agree with Charlie. Get Rich or Die Trying is nowhere. Even though it's a great, amazing album, nowhere top 5, top 10 even. And I don't know. Listen, Charlie, all I'm saying is there's a lot of people, like they said, this album brought the West back, the documentary, and it it just opened up the West to a whole new level. And A lot of people give that album a lot of props. Is it top 5? Charlie says no. All right, thank you for that. Thank you for that comment, Charlie. Jason says, typo, my bad. I'm getting back in the booth soon. Yep, I got you, Jason. I got you. We got another comment from Jason. Jason says, can't forget about West Side Connection. Bow down. Ooh, bow down. Ooh, West Side Connection. Who was there? It was Ice Cube. It was Mac 10. And it was what's the other guy's name? Oh man, I forgot his name. I don't remember his name. Put his name in the chat, yo. West Side Connection. Shout out to the West Side Connection. Yo, listen, when they were on the Up in Smoke tour, when Dub C did his Crip walk on the Up in Smoke, yo, shout out to West Side Connection, man. Shout out to Mac 10. All right. Iman is in the building. Iman is here. Iman, shout out to the Bronx. All right. Thank you, Triborough, Dub C. I just remembered, man. So Dub C, Ice Cube, Mac 10, West Side Connection. Iman is in the building. Iman says Compton's Most Wanted is on my top 10s list. Woo. Woo. Okay. All right. Let's put up another album here. I think y'all, people we talk about a lot. DJ Quick, even though DJ Quick was more considered a producer, I think DJ Quick has one of the most influential albums from the West Coast. I mean, when you listen to this album, Quick's rapping style is a little bit different, but the production was super tight on this album. So if you have a chance, go take a listen to this album from DJ Quick, another album that a lot of West Coast fans love. Let me go back up to that comment I was just reading from Charlie. Hold on one second. Charlie says, Get What You Die Trying isn't the top 5 East Coast album. That's crazy. I try. West Side Connection. Jason said West Side Connection. Triborough says who, Charlie? Triborough has another comment. Triborough says a lot of heads will have that in top 5. Top 10, that album made 50 Cent. Yes, again, I live here in New York City, okay? And I saw what that album did firsthand. I live on Jamaica Avenue, okay? I move around Jamaica, Queens. I move around Southside. I move around Baisley. I move around Hollis. So when Get What You Die Trying came out, you couldn't walk anywhere without hearing a car bumping. 50 saying, what? It changed the game. And then another thing that a lot of people don't talk about Get What You Die Trying, a lot of things that G Unit was doing with their mixtape stuff, a lot of people were sampling their mixtape beats and making their own songs. And the same thing happened with Get What You Die Trying. When that album came out, that instrumental, mad rappers did songs off of that instrumental as well. So listen, is it in my top 5, top 10? No. But Try says it could be in the top 10. Okay. Thank you for that, Try. Thank you for that, Charlie. Blocker has another comment. Blocker says, I know. I've listened my top 5 West Coast hip hop albums. He says, Strictly Ice Cube. I have another top 3 hip hop albums. Strictly for My Jiggers from Tupac. Tupacalypse Now from Tupac. Machiavelli album from Tupac. All Eyes on Me from Tupac. So Blocker has 2 albums that has only one artist, top 5. Today we're talking about the documentary, man. Today is the 19-year anniversary of the documentary album, an album that shaped the West Coast at a time when West Coast hip hop was not at its peak. The South the South had a long run, all right? East Coast, up in the 2000s, that dancing with Puff Daddy and Jay-Z and them was doing a lot of, And the West was still hitting us with hardcore rap, man. So shout out to the documentary. Drop your comment. Is the documentary a top 5 West Coast album? We're gonna drop a few more albums here. Let's go back to this list right here. Let's go back to a few more albums. Another one of the West Coast albums that shaped the West Coast, Straight Outta Compton. I think this album has no skips on it. Like when I listen to this album, it starts off furious, it ends furious to me. I don't think this album has any skipping tracks on there. NWA, Straight Outta Compton. I think all the artists did their thing on this album. Is it in my top 5? No. But a lot of people consider NWA, Straight Outta Compton a top 5 rap album. Which coast has the better albums? The East Coast or the West Coast? Drop a comment. Let me hear what y'all got to say about that. Who has the better albums? Is it the West Coast? West Coast or the East Coast? Who got the better bangers? Drop a comment in the comment section down below. Another album that you hear a lot about from Ice Cube. And Ice Cube is one of the top MCs from the West Coast. Shout out to Ice Cube. Iman says, if you don't know who CMW is, that's MC8 and The Chill. Shout out to MC8 as well too, man. Thank you, Iman. Thank you for that comment. MC8, man, listen, man. His voice and his rap style, it's totally different than a lot of rappers out there. So if you haven't listened to MC8, go check him out, man. Thank you for that, Iman. Thank you for that one. Tribal says, happy birthday, DJ Quick today. All right, DJ Quick's birthday is today. Shout out to DJ Quick. Blocker has a comment. Blocker says, Get Rich or Die Trying will never be in my top 3, top 5, not even my top 10 hip-hop albums. All right, Blocker. All right. Charlie has another comment. Charlie says, DJ Quick has such an underrated discography, so slept on. Yeah, man, for a producer to get into rhyming and rapping, it was not regular. Most producers stick to producing. Most rappers stick to rapping. When he went into the booth, you went into the studio, the producer did his thing. But yeah, man. Yeah, DJ Quick has a good discography. And like I said, there's a lot of people that put DJ Quick's stuff in their top 5, maybe top 10s. Here's another album for y'all, The Far Side. Let me see what the comments are saying. Let me see what y'all saying in the comments. I'm gonna go back to Iman. Iman say, if you don't know who CMW is, that MC8 and The Chill. Triborough says, Souls of Mischief, 1993 till Infinity. That album is classic. Go listen to that. Tammy, go listen to that one. Triborough says, Warren G, Regulate, the G-Funk era. Shout out to Warren G. Warren G has a tough album too. Triborough says, Del, the Funky Homo Sapien, No Need for Alarm. Shout out to them as well. Another great album. Charlie has a comment. Charlie says, Above the Law, got some good albums too. Shout out to Above the Law. Jason has a comment. Jason says, speaking of Jay-Z, 16, how you feel about his verse on that new song with D'Angelo? Basura. Jay-Z, man. Look, Jay-Z. You my mans. You my man. You my man. You my man. You my man. You my mans, Jay. You my mans. I'm not feeling that one. I'm sorry. Jason, I don't want to get blocked from Jay-Z, all right? So I'm going to just say I'm not feeling the song. Shout out to Try, man. Shout out to Jason for that question, man. Blocker says, Straight Outta Compton is also in my top 3 or top 5 separate albums. Come on, Blocker. Blocker, give me a top 5 with different artists. Blocker, give me a top 5 with different artists, not same artists. Give me your top 5, Blocker. I want to see your next comment. I want to see your top 5 albums. This album right here, I think, is a newer album in the last 20 years, in the last 10 years. I think this album and his first album could be considered top 10 albums as well. To Pimp a Butterfly and Good Kid, Mad City are 2 incredible albums. Do y'all think this album deserves to be in a top 5 or in a top 10? Let me see what else. Triborough says, I'm showing my East Coast bias. East Coast got the better classics. Of course, man. Huh? You know I'm East Coast bias too. I'm East Coast bias all the way. The Lox. I could pick out 2 or 3 albums from the Lox that I think are classic. DMX. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood. 2 of my favorite DMX albums back to back. Y'all know Hova got some classics. I ain't gonna go through Hova's 10 classics. I ain't gonna do that today. We're gonna do that another day. Y'all know Hova got classics. Foxy Brown, the Il Nana album, 1996. Redman. What's my favorite Redman album? My favorite Redman album has to be the one when he's sitting on the chair with the TV. Oh my God, what's the name of that album? Muddy Waters. Great Redman album. Y'all know my favorite group, Wu-Tang Clan. Enter the 36 Chambers. Ain't no album better than that. Well, maybe Ready to Die. Maybe. But Enter the Wu-Tang. Nas, It Was Written. Big Pun, Capital Punishment. I do like the Yeah Baby album a lot. I can't lie to y'all, man. Even though Capital Punishment is super, super classic, I really like the Yeah Baby album as well, man. Notorious B.I.G., back-to-back classic albums, Ready to Die, Life After Death. Lil' Kim Hardcore, the greatest female hip-hop album ever made. Yes, ever made. And the list can go, I could go on and on, just like Triborough said, man. I can go on and on and on, man. East Coast bias for real. I ain't even gonna hold y'all. East Coast, I'm East Coast bias for real. Another West Coast classic, Warren G's album. Listen, if you don't think that the documentary, again, 19-year anniversary today, January the 18th, that album was released back in 2005. All right. So if y'all don't think that album is top 5, it's cool. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Warren G. What y'all know about Warren G? I see we have Jeremiah in the building. Jeremiah, the prolific, the prohectic. Jeremiah, the prohectic. I'm sorry, Jeremiah. Thanks for coming through. Jeremiah says, Il Nana is a classic with a question mark. Yes. I think the Il Nana album, I don't think there's more than one skippable track on the Il Nana album. I think that album has gracefully, like, it's still, if you listen to the Il Nana album today, the bars that she has on there, the production, she's going back and forth with guys like Havoc and stuff on the album. All right, so yeah, the Il Nana is a classic. Is it in my top 10, top 20? No. Too many albums for her to make that list. But when you talk about albums top to bottom, great content, yeah, Jeremiah, Il Nana is a classic. Iman says Nipsey album was a classic. Oh man, Iman. Whenever I think of Nipsey Hussle, man, like that album, like I listened to Nipsey's mixtapes before his album came out, and his mixtapes were fire too, y'all. Go back and listen to Nipsey's mixtape stuff. His stuff was fire, but Nipsey's album, and I know he passed away, and sometimes when an artist passed away, we kind of prop them up sometimes where they shouldn't get propped up. That album, that Victory Lap album, deserves all the props, yo. That album was a super classic album. Rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle, man. Listen, that was such a loss. Nipsey was such an artist where you can see his trajectory, man. The way he talked, the way he was moving, his business savviness, his bars. He had a different rap style. Listen, Iman, whenever I talk about Nipsey, I get so upset, man, because we took away a good one, y'all. We took away an artist that was like really like now you see a lot of these artists putting out music and their music is Nipsey was one of those where he was just on his way, man. Shout out to Nipsey Hussle, man. Rest in peace. Diamond Onyx is in the building. Shine bright like a diamond. Shout out to Diamond. Happy New Year again, Diamond. Diamond is here. Let me see what else y'all talking about. Charlie has a comment. Charlie says, Labin, California is a personal top 5 for me. I got to add that. Wait. Whose album is that? Let me check out that album. Hold on, Charlie. Let me go to my title. Let me search that. Hold on. I don't think I know that album. Labin. Hold up. Okay. I see it. 2001. All right. I'm gonna save that, Charlie, and I'm gonna listen to that later. Charlie says, Labin, California is a personal top 5 for me. I love that album. I'm gonna check that out. Jeremiah says, I prefer Bizarre Ride to the Far Side. Far Side got some stuff, yo. Far Side got some stuff. Today we're talking about The Game. Today is the 19th year anniversary of the documentary album. Is this album a top 5 West Coast album? Another question, who has the better albums, the West Coast or the East Coast? Drop it in the comment section down below. Another West Coast legend, Eazy-E. Easy Does It. Listen, not one of my favorite West Coast albums, but when you talk to people that's from the West Coast that talk about West Coast albums, influential artists, this album comes up. To me, again, Eazy-E wasn't the most lyrical artist. I'm deep into lyrical artists, so I really didn't feel this album like that. But what do y'all think? The Easy Does It album. Jason has a comment. Jason says, East Coast. Half of them classics came out of Jersey. Oh, man. Jason, man. Come on, man. This is Jason's comment. Jason says, East Coast has the better albums. He says, half of them classics came out of Jersey. Yeah, I said it. I'm biased. LOL, Brick City. Shout out to Redman, man. One of my favorite artists out of Brick City. Shout out to that. Tribo says, Yo-Yo, make way for the Motherload. Ooh, severely slept on. Okay, I forgot about Yo-Yo. Jeremiah, the Prolific says, Death Certificate. Yes. I put it up before. I'm going to put it up again. Yes. Classic. Yes. West Coast staple. If you don't got Ice Cube in your top 10, I don't know what to say to you, man. Charlie has a comment. Charlie says, East Coast has way too much history. I got to go with the East, but I'm biased because I grew up in the West. Oh, okay, Charlie. Okay. I'm biased because I'm on the East, Charlie, so you know how that goes. All right, let me see what else is going on. Blocker says the West Coast has the better albums. All right, Blocker. All right. Diamond got some comments. Diamond says, Triboro, salute. Diamond says she's on my East Coast shit. So Diamond's rocking with the East Coaster. Diamond says those are some good albums. Yes. Diamond also says, but the West Coaster are mapped. Yes, West Coast. Listen. West Coast has their stamp, man. I can't even lie, yo. Shout out to Diamond. Let me see what else you're talking about here. Jeremiah, the prolific says, I was 12 in 1992. Gosh. Ooh. Were you able to... Wait, Jeremiah, hold on. If you was 12, they had you listening to this kind of music at 12? Listen, 1990s was crazy with hip-hop. The amount of... You were 12 listening to hip-hop, that kind of hardcore hip-hop. Shout out to Jeremiah, man. Shout out to hip-hop, man. Shout out to hip-hop. Keep us going. What else we got going on here? All right, so Blocker finally dropped his top 5 albums. Blocker says, now my top 5 hip-hop group albums. All right, let me read this one. Straight Outta Compton, classic. Back to Up, that's the East Coast album. Blocker, that's East Coast. I want to get your West Coast. I want to get your East Coast. Separate them. I'm going to still go. Enter the Wu-Tang, my favorite album of all time. The Blackout album from Red and Meth. Bow Down from the West Side Connections. Not a bad list. I like that, Blocker. That's a nice list. All right, man. Today we're talking about the documentary album. Is that album a top 10 West Coast album? Is it a top 5 West Coast album? Dr. Dre, The Chronic 2001. Is that in your top 5? Let me go to another one here real quick. Another newcomer. Kendrick Lamar. 2 back-to-back stellar albums. Is this in your top 5? I see Iman dropped a comment. Iman, I got you. Iman, I got you. Iman is putting up some Cypress Hills. Put Cypress Hill up here. Let me read Iman's comment. Iman says, Cypress Hill, first and second album. Shout out to Cypress Hill. Is this album a top 5 West Coast album? Thank you for that, Iman. Thank you for bringing up Cypress Hill. Let me see what y'all talking about in the comments down below here. Triboro says, Victory Lap is a modern day classic for real. Man, y'all messed up, man. Y'all took a good one, yo. Jeremiah says, Dog Food is a classic as well. Let me put that up there, man. 'Cause a lot of y'all don't know about this album. A lot of y'all sleep on this album. A lot of y'all sleep on Daz and Corrupt, man. Daz and Corrupt been doing it since what was that album from Dr. Dre, The Chronic? Daz and Corrupt been laying bars for years. Shout out to the Dog Pound. And again, Daz was a producer. And in this album, he's a producer rapper. Amazing album. Amazing first album from Daz and Corrupt. What else y'all got up in here? Diamond says, no age group is restricted, I say. That's true, man. Listen, that's true. I know I'm making fun of Jeremiah, 12 years old in 1992. But Diamond has a point, man. Hip hop touches many different ages. You know, I remember one of the biggest songs in Trinidad and Tobago at the time when I was coming up was Roxanne Shantae's Roxanne's Revenge. I remember going to, like, I wasn't able to really go to parties at that age. I was like in my teens. I wasn't able to go into parties with the older folks, but we used to sneak into little house parties in Trinidad. And when that song came on, and Roxanne's voice, that song they used to bring it back. Yo, listen, Roxanne Revenge was one of the biggest songs. Slick Rick had some big songs back then. Rakim was heavy. back in the 80s in Trinidad and Tobago as well. So yes, Diamond is right. There's no age group. Some people start in their teens. Some people start listening to hip hop in their early 8, 9, 10. So yeah, shout out to Diamond. Shout out to Jeremiah, man. There is no age restriction in hip hop, man. Whenever it hits you, it hits you. And I'm glad hip hop hit me in my early age when I was in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. So listen, y'all. Tomorrow we have Freestyle Friday video coming. Don't forget to check out that. All right. So check out the Freestyle Friday video coming tomorrow. And on Saturday, we also have another episode of Versus. This Saturday's Versus is crazy. All right. So don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure and subscribe to the channel. Turn on all notifications. You don't want to miss Freestyle Friday tomorrow, 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. And you don't want to miss Saturday's Versus. Saturday's Versus is bananas. All right. Another amazing artist from the West Coast, the DOC. Another amazing album that's considered one of the top West Coast albums. Is it top 10? Top 5? I don't know. But when people talk about it, listen, they bring it up. Diamond Onyx says West Side Connection. Diamond Onyx says Dr. Dre. Jeremiah says top 10, maybe. Okay. See what else I got going on here. Tribal says MC Ren, shock of the hour. Oh, shout out to MC Ren. Shout out to MC8. We come strapped. We got some. Yo, listen. Tribal is dropping a lot of gems in the chat, yo. So y'all, I hope y'all are writing down these albums. Save these albums to your favorite streaming sites and go listen to these albums, man. Triborough is naming a lot of dope albums right here. Triborough also says Funkadoo East, Brothers Doobie. I haven't heard that one. I'm going to go listen to that one. Tri says, come on now. Tri says, Yo-Yo is my favorite West Coast female rapper. Conscious Daughters did their things too. Shout out to Yo-Yo. My favorite West Coast female artists, I like the Brat. I like Yo-Yo. But I think the Brat is from the South, right? Isn't Brat from the South? I like Yo-Yo. Lady of Rage. I might have to go with Lady of Rage as my favorite female West Coast artist. I might have to go with Lady of Rage. I'm going to think about that one. All right. Jeremiah has a comment. Jeremiah says Roxanne Shante might still have the best voice. Listen, her voice was crazy back then, bro. Listen, people that, when you lived in that era, when you live in the era when the music come out fresh and it hits a whole community, like all of my community, my whole village, we were bumping Roxanne Shante in Trinidad and Tobago, man. Shout out. Thank you for that, Jeremiah. Jeremiah says, no one can do it better. Yes. Triborough says, my mom forbid me to listen to NWA as a youngster and Big Daddy Kane, Taste of Chocolate. Listen, y'all gotta remember, if y'all wasn't there, right? If you wasn't there in the 80s and the 90s, there's a few albums that your parents didn't want you listening to. I remember when NWA Straight Outta Compton came out, and the whole hoopla of how they were buying CDs and throwing them on the highway. How you buy thousands of CDs, throw them on the highway, and have a truck run over them to destroy them? It's beyond me. You're giving them album sales. But yes, man, back in the days, a lot of parents didn't want their kids listening to certain hip-hop music, to certain hip-hop artists, man. Try. Yes. Diamond Onyx says Battle Cat has some hella vibes on beats. Shout out to Battle Cat. Charlie has a comment. Charlie says, yeah, we're not even touching on the Bay Area. Too Short, E40, Rappin' Forte. Shout out to Rappin' Forte. Ant Banks, Mac Dre, the Jacket. Ooh, Mac Dre. Shout out to Mac Dre. The Bay Area got some heads, man. Triborough says, I feel like every Kendrick album is a classic. Tri might not be wrong on this one. The Damn album, to me, is a pretty good album as well. The Green album, I forgot what album it was. It had like 7 or 8 tracks on it. I think that was my least favorite. It was still a good album, but it was my least favorite album from Kendrick. But those first 2 albums, fire. Tribal says Dog Food is in my top 5. Dre mixed that album. Dog Food is a hell of a classic. Charlie has a comment. Charlie says, do you have any West Coast albums in your all-time top 5? Okay, all right. So Charlie, so my top 5 West Coast. I gotta put All Eyes on Me. I think that album, I go back and forth with Machiavelli. All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli, like, yes, All Eyes on Me has more content, so I gravitate to that more. But Machiavelli, the content in there is just so, like, they kind of cancel each other out. So, but All Eyes on Me, the Doggy Style album changed me forever. Once I heard the Doggy Style album, I actually started going and drinking Seagram's Gin. Seagram's Gin and Tanqueray. I started drinking Tanqueray after I heard Snoop talking about Tanqueray and gin, man. I started drinking that here on the East Coast. So Doggy Style, I think the Chronic album, I got Good Kid, Mad City, and I got the Souls of Mischief album in my top 5. Top 5 all time? That's tough, man. That's tough, Charlie. I can't give you a top 5 all time right now. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough, Charlie. I got to get back to you on that one, man. Thank you for that, Charlie. Jeremiah says, life is too short from Too Short. Shout out to Too Short, man. I didn't download any Too Short stuff, but shout out to Too Short. Too Short be doing it as well. Another one of my favorite albums here. I go back and forth with all the time. I can listen to this album anytime from Tupac, Me Against the World. One of my favorite Tupac's albums. Rest in peace to Tupac. Diamond Onyx has a comment. Diamond says, Queen Latifah, if she wasn't mentioned before, I got her. Shout out to Queen Latifah, one of the best hip-hop artists of all time and one of the top 3 female hip-hop artists of all time. I'm going with Lil' Kim. I'm going with Foxy Brown. I might throw Queen Latifah in there, but Queen Latifah is definitely top 3, top 5 in somebody's book. Tribar says, my top 3 Kendrick album, Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, and Damn. Yeah. Like I said, the Green album, I forgot the name of that Kendrick album. Let me get that album. Hold up. I forgot the name of that. It's like a green cover. Hold up. Let me just pull up that album so I can get the right name of the album. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, it's the Untitled Unmastered. Yeah, the Untitled Unmastered, it had 8 tracks on it. I think that's my least favorite Kendrick album. So I would put number 3, Damn. I would put To Pimp a Butterfly number 2. And I would put Good Kid, Mad City as number 1 for my Kendrick albums. Thank you for that try. Blocker said, my mom let me listen to explicit hip-hop albums. Yeah. My parents were very strict, but I really didn't listen to it in the house. I listened to it mostly outside my friend's house, parties and stuff like that. And also, that's how I listened to my hip-hop back then. Diamond Onyx says, Gangsta Boo, R.I.P. R.I.P. to Gangsta Boo, yo. Oh, man. I love Gangsta Boo, man. I just love her energy, her smile, her charisma, her flow on her songs. She wasn't one of the most lyrical hip hop artists, but what she brought to the table, man. Thank you, Diamond. Rest in peace, Gangsta Boo. Diamond Onyx also says, Rod Digger. Shout out to Rod Digger, my girl. Iman says, Exhibit had a few good songs. Also, J.O. Felony. Yes. Exhibit, go check out Exhibit's albums. Exhibit has a very good discography. All right. Jeremiah says, Charlie Hustler, Blueprint of a Hustler. I got to listen to that one. I don't have that one in my list. Charlie has dropped a super chat, $2. Charlie, Appreciate it. Thank you for that. All right. Shout out to Charlie. Charlie says, I have the documentary Over to Pimp a Butterfly. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. Let's pump our brakes right here. Hold up. Charlie says he's taking the documentary Over to Pimp a Butterfly. Now listen. 2005. The 2005 documentary came out. I remember when I got that. I have a physical copy of that album. Tough album. I remember when To Pimp a Butterfly came out. That album surprised the hell out of me. When I heard Kendrick spitting on that album, the production on the album was bizarre, but amazing. All right, Charlie. I'm taking documentary over Pimp a Butterfly. I think The Pimp a Butterfly is a classic album, top to bottom. I loved Kendrick when I didn't know about Kendrick before that album. When I heard that album, I was like, whoa, who the is this? And I listened to that album top to bottom, the storytelling in there, the skits in there, the production in there, the way the album began, the way the album ended. To Pimp a Butterfly is a great album as well too. But I remember when G-Unit was rocking out and The Game was rocking out, Dr. Dre was rocking out. I'm taking documentary as well over the Pimp a Butterfly. I'm going with documentary as well. I'm taking that as well. Charlie, thank you for that. Thank you for the super chat, Charlie. Don't forget, man, if y'all want to support 16 Bars, the best way to support us is to email us, pick up some of our merch. We got T-shirts on sale. All right, if y'all want to pick up our T-shirts, hit us up. We got all different types of T-shirts. Let me put up another. Let me show y'all one here. But yes, hit us up. Let us know what y'all want. We'll get it out to you. Support the channel as best you can. What else we got here? Hold on. Let me put this album back up here again. I love this album, man. Go check this one out right here. Let me see what else I was saying in the chat. Diamond Onyx says, MC Trouble. Remember her? I named plenty East Coasters. Okay. MC Trouble. Shout out to Diamond for that. Diamond is dropping some names today, boy. Shine bright like a diamond. Happy New Year, Diamond. Thank you for that. Let me go down to the bottom, see what I'm talking about. Iman has a list. Iman says, Doggy Style, The Chronic, All Eyes on Me, Dog Food, and Compton's Most Wanted. Woo! Shout out to Compton's Most Wanted. Doggy Style, y'all know I love Doggy Style album. The Chronic, y'all know I love that album. All Eyes on Me, y'all know that's my favorite double CD. All right, well, Biggie double CD is good too, but Pac did it first, so I'm gonna give it to Pac. All right. Dog Food, y'all know Daz and Corrupt. That's my boys. Shout out to Compton's Most Wanted, man. That's a good top 5, Iman. That's a solid top 5, man. Triborough says MC Trouble going too soon. Yeah, man. We're gonna have a talk about what's going on right now in the hip hop span right now. Y'all know what's going on right now with the whole Young Dolph thing that's going on down there in the South. I think next week we may talk about that next week, because if we're really looking at it, we went through an East versus West Coast war when we lost Biggie and we lost Pac. Now you're looking at Young Dolph being gone. And now there's a whole lot of retaliation, along with a lot of other MCs and rappers losing their lives. So maybe next week we'll talk about that. We'll have a conversation about what's going on in the hip-hop game. Are we seeing a reoccurrence of what we had back in the 90s with Biggie and Pac? All right, so we'll talk about that. I want to thank everyone for joining the chat today. Shout out to Jeremiah for coming through. Every Thursday night, we're here, Jeremiah, Triborough. Shout out to Triborough. Y'all go follow Triborough's channel, man. Triborough, we have a video with Triborough explaining to us, talking to us, having a discussion with us about who he is, what made him into the man he is. Go check out his YouTube channel. Go on Instagram and check out Triborough's Instagram channel as well. He has an Instagram channel. If you like hip-hop, if you like music, if you like movies, if you want to talk about sitcoms, Triborough is one of those gentlemen that has like vast knowledge in all of those. All right, so go check him out. Go subscribe to his channel. Go check out his YouTube stuff as well too. Shout out to Diamond Onyx. Shout out to Charlie. Shout out to Blocker. Shout out to Jason. Take Flight Society in the building. Shout out to Charlie. Everybody that's in the chat, I appreciate y'all coming through. I'm going to see y'all again next week, Thursday, on Talking Barz. It's your boy,